The American Civil War is a bloody conflict that tore apart the United States from 1861 to 1865. It was a war that brought many new inventions. The most significant invention of the Civil War was the birth of a new kind of naval warfare. And the ships that we have today were headed by two Revenue warships, the USS Monitor and the CSS Virginia. This is the Battle of the Ironclads, a battle that changed the face of naval warfare forever. As the Civil War raged on, both the Union and Confederacy were desperate for any advantages they could find. The Union's Navy blockade of southern ports was causing the Confederate economy to collapse, and the South needed a way to break through to save their economy. The answer, they believed, will come with ironclads. In 1861, the Confederate Navy began working on a secret project, the conversion of the USS Merrimack, scuttled by Union forces into an ironclad warship. The ship was renamed to the CSS Virginia and was outfitted with sloping armor, designed to deflect enemy cannon fire. The Virginia was armed with 10 powerful guns and a deadly iron ram, capable of sinking wooden warships with ease. Meanwhile, fearing the threat of the Confederate ironclad, the U.S. Navy launched its own ironclad program. The result was USS Monitor, a revolutionary designed by Swedish engineer John Ericsson. The Monitor was a small, low-profile vessel with a rotating turret housing two massive guns. Its iron hull and innovative design made it a small but formidable opponent for any ship at the time. On March 8, 1862, the CSS Virginia made its debut, steaming into Hampton Roads, Virginia, on the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, to challenge Union blockade. The wooden ships of the Union fleet were no match for the ironclad. The Virginia rammed the USS Chamberlain and set the USS Congress ablaze with cannon fire, forcing it to surrender. The USS Minnesota ran aground in its attempt to escape, and the Virginia planned to finish it off the next day. But it was not all good news. The commander of the CSS Virginia, Frank Buckingham, was shot on the deck and was brought back to port. The Union fleet was in disarray, and the Confederate ironclad seemed unstoppable, but as night fell, a new challenger arrived at the scene, the USS Monitor, commanded by John Worden. On March 9, 1862, the Virginia returned to Hampton Roads, intent on destroying the ground in Minnesota. But as it approached, the Monitor emerged from behind the stricken ship, ready to defend its fellow Union vessel. The two ironclads circled each other, exchanging fire at close range. Neither the Virginia or the Monitor were able to penetrate each other's armor, while the Monitor's rotating turret allowed it to keep up a steady barrage of fire. The battle raged for hours, with neither side being able to gain the upper hand and sink the other ship. Finally, after a day of fierce combat, the Virginia retreated, unable to break through the Union blockade. The Monitor had held its ground, and the first battle between ironclads had ended in a draw, with both sides claiming victory. The Battle of the Ironclads was a turning point in naval warfare. The age of wooden warships was over, and the era of iron warships had begun. Both the Union and Confederacy would go on to build on more ironclads, and the lessons learned from the modern Virginia would shape the design of warships for generations, including aircraft carriers and modern destroyers. The Monitor and the Virginia would never meet in battle again. The Virginia was scuttled by its crew in May 1862 to prevent its capture by Union forces, while the Monitor sank in a storm off the coast of North Carolina later that year. But their legacies lived on, as navies around the world raced to build their own ironclads, setting the stage for the great naval arms race of the late 19th century. The Battle of the Ironclads was an important moment in the history of naval warfare. It marked the end of the wooden warships and the beginning of the iron warships, as the world's navies embraced the power of the ironclad.